look at the camera.
Every video is gonna start like this, I promise. We are going to do the how much is the cost of teaching tag?
Yes.
Okay, that's what we're gonna call it. And did she start this one?
I believe so.
I think so. So shout out to Smarty Style for starting this tag.
Thank you.
Hopefully we're not misquoting that.
Hopefully not. And in case you don't know who we are, I am the emerging educator.
And I'm Naturally Niani.
And the reason we actually decided to do this video together is because we both live fairly close to Chicago. And I teach in Chicago. And you teach
in the suburbs of Chicago.
And so when we were talking with Ruth, aka Diary of a Mad Black Teacher.
Shout out, girl.
Hey, girl. When we were talking with her, she came up with the idea that because we live so close to each other and we're teaching in the same vicinity, we should probably collaborate on this video.
Yeah.
So here we go. What's question number 1?
All right. What state or country do you live in?
Well, I live in Illinois.
I live in Illinois as well.
In the United States. Okay,
right.
That was easy. Number 2.
Number 2, how many people live in your household?
Just me.
For me, it's 4. I have a husband and 2 wonderful children that will never leave the nest.
All right, and question number 3.
Are you a single or double income household?
I'm single.
I am double. Question number 4, do you own or rent?
I rent.
I rent as well. Question number 5, what is your highest level of education and does your education level affect your pay?
So I have a bachelor's in elementary education and I have special certification in ESL and bilingual education.
Okay. And does your education level affect your pay?
It does. So in Chicago Public Schools, they have a lane and a step system. So it's kind of like the rungs on a ladder. So if you are fresh out of college and you don't have any experience and you don't have any a higher degree or anything, you would be considered a level or a step 1, lane 1. So that's the bare minimum. And then as you get experience with the district, you go up steps. And then when you reach a certain amount of steps, you can go up a lane. And if you have a higher education degree, you are automatically at a higher lane, but at a different step. So yes, your education does affect the lane and step that you're on.
So our system is pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with me because I have my LBS 1 certification, special educator, and then I have my master's degree as well.
It's my class.
I have my master's degree as well. I do start out in a different lane, I guess, so to speak. But I was just laughing. So we're actually here filming this at my house. I said, you know what? I really don't know what tier or what lane I'm in because I never thought to really think about that or memorize that. But I do know that I am a little bit better off than, like she said, a beginning educator. I come with, oh my gosh, 13. This year will be 14 years of classroom experience, but 5 years specifically as a special education teacher. So I do start a little bit higher on the salary scale than most. Where am I looking on your phone? We're using her phone, by the way, so I have no clue where I'm looking.
Over here? Same spot as last time?
Here.
Yeah, and I can edit that.
No, I just looked at the screen last time. Okay, sorry.
And I am actually, I transferred to CPS this past year, so when I came in, I would have been at a lane 1, step 1. However, I did have 3.5 years of teaching experience and my special certification, so that actually took me to a lane 1, step 3, or lane 2, step 1. I have to check. Yeah. But I know I'm higher. I'm smarter than your average bear. I'm a little bit higher than average.
You go, girl.
Question 6.
Question 6. How much did it cost you to attain your degrees? And are you still paying for your education? Can I go first on this one?
Please do.
So I just recently communicated with the Department of Education, and I'll just say that I'm over $60,000 indebted with my student loans, and I will probably be paying for them well into my grandkids start learning how to drive and probably getting their own loans as well. So if you guys want to contribute, my Cash App. No, I'm just playing. I'm just kidding.
And the same for me. I'm still working on my student loans. I have about 60 grand. And that's with me actually saving money by not living on campus as an undergrad. So at my school, the way it worked was, it was about $10,000 to live on campus, and then the cost of your tuition. So each semester it would be roughly about $17,000, but I actually saved half of the residential cost because I was a transfer student, so I wasn't required to live on campus, so I automatically moved into an apartment, and I saved money that way instead of having to pay for a meal plan and laundry services and things like that.
Smart woman. All right, what number are we on? Number 7.
Oh. Yes. 7.
Okay, so number 7, I think we interpreted this question different ways, but let's see what we come up with, because I'm horrible at this in the first place. Number 7 says, how is your salary schedule structured? And then in parentheses, it's your starting point, your max out, annual increases, etc. I go back to the tier structure and the step structure. I just know that I'm a little bit higher than most because, 1, I'm an experienced teacher, and 2, I do have my LBS 1 certification, but it never dawned on me to really look at the starting point. I do know when you go on to Google, because I do get like Google notifications about different jobs and different opportunities. It has me in the range of 40, I think it's 42 to 47,000 or something like that. So I would assume that's for a beginning teacher in my position with my credentials. So I'm not quite sure about that. And then it says max out salary, and that's not something that we normally talk about within my school system. So I'm wondering if that's something that's more familiar to you guys that are in other states or in other types of school systems. And then annual increases, once again, we're going back to I call it the step and tier system. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
We go back to that. So any annual increases depends on your education. And they actually changed it. Before you could take classes and kind of get credit for those hours, but now they only move you up to a different step or a different level if you're actually obtaining a degree in something. So of course they've made it a little more difficult for us. So you just can't take a couple of classes and say pay me more money. You actually have to pursue the entire degree in order to do that. So that part I do know.
And for me, it's about the same. With going into an inner city school, they pay a little bit more because the cost of living in Chicago is a little bit higher. So if I was a lane 1, step 1, starting salary is about $51,000. And like I said, I'm smarter than your average bear, so I'm a little bit higher than that. I'm not sure if there is a max out salary. I've never heard of that either, but I know that salary increases usually happen, like you said, with higher education, but also based on your evaluation. That depends on, your performance and how you're doing, whether or not they make you tenure based on your observations and your evaluations. You get determined whether or not you've earned tenure, and when you earn tenure, you make a little bit more money.
Okay, so what question are we on?
I believe we did number
9. Number 9.
7.
We did 8. Where are you on the salary schedule?
Okay, we did do that one.
Okay, number 9. Do you supplement your income in any way, and if so, how?
You first.
So it's interesting, yes and no. I don't want to say supplement. I have a hobby that I can make money off of, but I have not pursued it the way that I want to. But my shirt, as it indicates, I am a wrap queen, and I do design and create my own hair wraps under Naturally Niani Hair Wraps. So in another video, I'll talk about what that means and why I named my company after my daughter, Naturally Niani. But yes, but I wouldn't say supplement. It's just really fun money. It kind of trickles in. It's not something that I pursue full time. But no, I don't have full-time. Well, I teach full-time, but it's not something that I pursue to bring in extra income into the household. If I make money, fine. If not, it's a labor of love. So I would say, long story short, is no. I don't have a second job.
Well, when I was in college, I would spend the school year working on my education, and then the summers gathering resources, hunting and gathering, while working one or more summer jobs. Now that I'm a teacher, I spend the school year teaching, and then I spend the summer hunting and gathering for resources while I work a summer job. So I work summer school. Last summer I worked at a STEM camp where we focused on science and hands-on learning. And so yes, I do supplement my income.
No, nothing during the summer. Okay, number 10. How much money does your district give you for supplies at the beginning of the year? Do they provide basic supplies throughout the school year? So for me as a special educator, I do believe we received about $200 a piece to do with that what we wanted to, and look into some resources. I specifically did not need much of anything. We were very blessed at the particular school that I was at, where we did not need any manipulatives or anything like that. So I didn't spend any of the $200. I actually was willing to give it to a teammate or someone who actually needed it. And they did provide basic supplies, paper clips, pencils, pens, things like that. But anything beyond that, you were responsible for on your own. So I do think in terms of having supplies, compared to some of the things that I hear from people at other schools, I've actually been pretty fortunate. And for me, for the schools that I've worked at, this particular school had fewer resources than the others, but still more resources than most.
And I think with me, it's been a little bit more hard knock. They don't give us anything. No, they actually gave us a budget this year of $500 to purchase whatever we needed for our classroom. However, we don't get basic supplies for free. So we don't receive pencils or pens or paper clips or anything like that. So with us, we actually have to, at the end of the summer, or at the end of the school year, beginning of the summer, we give our future parents the back to school list, and that's basically, other than that allotted money, that's all we've got. So mid-year, if I run out of tissue and that's all the kids brought, it's coming from me, because that's all we've got left.
I think we all run out of tissue in the middle of the year, and I think we all spend half our paycheck on tissue for the rest of the year. So,
well, funny story. This year I had 30 kids, and only 12 of them brought tissue. So we ran out before December. So we've, like, the other teachers in my school were like, no, we don't have any more. You've taken all our tissue. So
wow. Now, my teammates were pretty awesome. There are some of them that, like, stockpile it or have it from year to year. Like, they're veteran teachers, so they have tons of resources for you to use, and they're not, they're cool about sharing it.
Yeah. But once we run out of whatever it is that the students brought and whatever it is we have with our allotted money, it ends up coming from us.
Okay, number 11. Do you have additional deductions taken from your paycheck? I'm going to try not to laugh hysterically, because I just took a look at at one of my pay stubs, and I counted, if I'm not wrong, almost 9 deductions coming out of my paycheck. So I'm going to let you answer that, and I'm going to look and make sure that that's correct.
So I have my health insurance coverage coming out. I also have my union dues coming out, state and federal taxes, and I think that's it.
Okay.
The standard ones.
So
insurance and union dues.
I'm sorry. Yours is probably like mine. I have, of course, federal tax, state tax, TRS deduction, Medicare, TRS insurance, and then, of course, my insurance is two-part. It's the family insurance, which I don't even want to talk about how much that was, and then dental, and then of course association dues, association dues for the union. So
and then I have a little bit less because I don't have a family to have dues taken out of, or deductions taken out of. So.
Yeah. So the insurance cost was a different beast this year. Like I said, I've had the luxury of being at schools where group insurance was very, very low cost. And this year I got a taste of what it's like to not be at a school where that was the case. So we literally had to contemplate whether or not I was going to have insurance for the family or not for the year, because it was just that expensive. Number 12. So we laugh at this question too. Do you feel like your current salary is enough for you to make ends meet? Do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. In all honesty, I think if we lived, and I don't want to say within our means, but if I'm honest with myself, I do spend my money sometimes on things that I either don't need, or I overspend, and I'm one of those people, she can tell you because she's at my house right now. I probably have at least thousands of dollars worth of stuff in my back room back there that I don't need, but I buy it just in case. So I'm that just in case person. I see it on sale. And so saying that, I do think when I look at my salary and my husband's combined, if we were a little wiser with our money, it's absolutely enough to make ends, and we're making ends meet, but we're not on that Dave Ramsey level at all. But I do think the cost of living here, when you're near Chicago or in a suburb of Chicago, is crazy, which is why people are exiting our area and they're moving toward the south more than anywhere. I have a lot of friends that are literally leaving Chicago because it's too expensive, and the suburbs are even more expensive. So of course we're not balling by any means, but we're not starving by any means either. But it would be nice, and someone did a video, I can't remember who it was, talking about per child. It was a video or a blog, per child, how much we make versus a daycare worker, or versus someone that does something, you know, comparable to what we do, but we don't get compensated like other people get compensated. So I'm saying yes and no. Do we make enough? Do I make enough to help contribute to the household and survive and keep lights on? The answer is absolutely. But I do know I could budget better and I could do better. And in comparison to other teachers in other places, I do think I am pretty blessed as far as my salary is concerned. But as a teacher, do I think I'm paid what I'm worth? And do I think you're paid what you're worth? Absolutely not. And I think most of you are in agreement with that.
And you know what? I totally agree with you. When I first read that question, I was going to say, no, we don't make enough. But you know what? I do. I mean, I'm living on my own, and I've been teaching for 5 years, and somehow I always manage to make ends meet. And it could be my supplemental income. That definitely helps me out in the summer, because not all school districts pay teachers in the summer. My school district now does not pay teachers in the summer. My school district last year actually had your income stretched out over the year, so you still got paid in the summer. Your checks would be smaller every pay period. However, you had that nest egg of knowing that you had money coming in the summer. And this year I don't have that, so I definitely need to work. But yeah, I am making ends meet, but some years are tougher than others. It just depends on how many supplies parents bring in, how much the school gives us, and how much the kids are using. I mean, if they use an excessive amount, you know, I have to go and buy additional supplies. And yes, it might sound like 1 or 2 boxes of tissue. Okay, your class needs tissue, but if they need tissue 3 times a week for the other 13 weeks of the year, that's gonna be a nice bill. And sometimes parents aren't always able to help with that cost. So it depends on the year whether or not I'm able to really make it. But it's like you said, you know, I do keep the lights on. My cable's not getting disconnected. So no interruption in the Wi-Fi service. But yeah, some years are a struggle.
So you kind of inadvertently segued into the next question. How many months a year do you receive a paycheck? So my situation is a little bit different. You were saying how you don't have that for the summer. I don't remember having a summer where I did not get paid. So maybe that's part of the reason why I don't work during the summertime. But I am fortunate enough to be able to have that, like you said, that peace of mind of knowing that something's coming in. And that's one of the perks of being a teacher that I do like. And a lot of my friends, I know they low-key hate because I get to stay at home. I get to relax. But what they don't understand is that the other eight months that I'm actually earning that money, I literally need the other 3 months to recuperate. So I do have the luxury of being paid over the summer.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, like last year at my school, I did get paid in the summer, but I still chose to work that summer because you never know if that could change from year to year. So I went ahead and I started saving the money that I earned last summer, so that way this summer it's not as big of a financial burden, and I'm able to still make it and do more and come visit you. Drive to visit her.
And that's another thing. It depends on your commute and gas prices. And so toward the end of the year, you know, gas prices started going up.
We're at like $3.25, $3.29 in the city. Where I live, it's only about $3.10.
Yeah. So I'm pretty fortunate as far as gas prices are concerned, but all of those things factor into whether or not you're making ends meet, so to speak. So number 14, in general, what are your major monthly expenses? So I think we're going to differ a little bit in this. So the way my husband and I have things worked out is he literally takes care of all of the needs, so to speak. So roof over our head, utilities on, cable is his luxury, so he pays for that. And then my income, I come in and I am able to pay for my car payment. I'm able to pay for the cell phones for the entire family. We're a family of 4. So keep in mind that that's not that cheap. We're all unlimited on T-Mobile. So if you're on T-Mobile and you're unlimited, you kind of get an idea of what the bill is like. I do keep up with my own credit card bill. And then what I try to do with my income is make sure that if the kids need anything that I'm providing that. So a great example is this summer. For instance, my son, he runs summer track. I travel with him. So getting paid over the summer allows me to travel with him, put gas in the car, purchase hotel rooms, things like that. So I try to make sure that those things, as much as possible, don't fall on my husband, and that I'm able to, with my income, be able to do those things, or even little things if we want to go out to eat, things like that. So don't get me wrong, when he wants to treat, I definitely take advantage of it, but for the most part, that's how we have things worked out, is that I try to make sure when they encounter, and I'm pointing towards my kids' rooms as if you guys are here, but whenever my kids need something, I try to make sure that that's what I'm here for, and that school fees, things like that. So.
And like you said, it's going to be a little bit different for me because I don't have another person contributing to my household income, and I also don't have outside expenses other than myself. So I do pay my own rent. I pay my electricity. I found an apartment that does not need heat paid, so I don't pay gas.
Nice.
I do pay my car note, my car insurance, my cell phone, my cable and Wi-Fi, my gym membership, which is a luxury, but if you've been watching my videos, you would know that I'm trying to make my health a priority. So that's a $20 that I'm willing to spend on myself every month.
She's being humble. She is being a rock star about her health and fitness right now.
Thank you.
Just had to add that.
And other than that, I think that's about it.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, and student loans.
Oh, and groceries.
Oh, and food. We
yeah.
need to eat, right?
Number 15, are there any financial goals that you are still working towards? For me, absolutely. I am a spender. I am not a tracker. I like what I like, and I want it when I want it. My husband's pretty good about putting up with my spontaneity in the store, where I'm not necessarily thinking before I purchase. But my daughter is really good about keeping me on track and, just reminding me. We do what we call our Target runs, where we're picking up our detergent and things like that. And she'll remind me, do you really need that? So I'm getting a lot better. Like I said earlier, I'm not at the stage where I am in any type of formal program or anything like that, but I have been doing a lot of research on not living check to check, or not anticipating your paycheck coming in, being comfortable enough where your paychecks are coming in, you know what's coming in, what's going out, and just not being bound to every 2 weeks there's this anxiety because you're waiting on the next paycheck or you're running negative or things like that. So I've come a long way, but I still have a long way to go. So I think overall my financial goal would be to be comfortable and to have an emergency fund. There's a young lady I follow on YouTube. I can't think of her name. If I do, I'll shout it out in the next video. But she is very good about teaching you how to set up an emergency fund. And giving you the reasons for that and how to build it up slowly. So that's the next thing that I'm working on, is having an emergency fund.
And I do have financial goals as well. Mine are a lot different than yours. Besides the obvious of like paying student loans and making sure that ends meet and saving money, I actually have a lot of medical bills, because not a lot of people know this about me, but in 2013 when I was in college and I was student teaching, I actually had 3 surgeries on my spinal cord. Wow. And so that racked up a lot of medical bills. And so right now I'm in the process of calling and trying to get that taken care of, now that I am a little bit more financially able to pay on it instead of being a broke college student. I'm working on getting that taken care of, because that severely restricts my ability to do a lot of things, like get a credit card and establish good financial history and things like that. So, yeah, and other than that, just trying to save money. I'm not really a shopaholic, or I'm not a spender. Although if there is something that I want, I know that I don't plan for unexpected purchases. So if I do purchase something, it is because I've saved for it and I've been wanting it for a long time. So for example, the easel that's in my classroom, I purchased that, but I saved for 2 years to little bits here and there to get that. Or I just got a MacBook.
That's an investment. That's a little different.
But I just got a MacBook, but it wasn't just a spontaneity purchase. It was something that I've been wanting since I was in college. I've been wanting a MacBook, and I've been watching them come out and come out and come out, and I've been saving and saving and saving, and I finally was in a place where I just dove head in and said, you know what, I've been saving and I've been wanting one for several years, so I'm going to go ahead and invest in myself and get one.
It's definitely a good investment. Okay, I was thinking about medical debt too. We have some. The reason why is a really long story. That's a story for another video, but yeah, I can relate to that too. And I think we're so overwhelmed with the medical debt that we haven't even devised a plan to pay it back. So yeah.
And sometimes it's hard, because especially when you are a teacher and you're living check to check and buying supplies for your classroom, are you going to get the things that your students need to learn, or are you going to pay a bill that's a couple years old? You have to make priorities.
Okay, so it looks like the last question is, what is the biggest piece of financial advice you would offer someone considering teaching? This was the only question that I got stuck on, because I think there's so much financial advice and mistakes that I've made, that if I were to encounter a new teacher, I would honestly say see a financial planner, someone who knows what they're doing. Talk to some seasoned teachers, talk to some teachers who are now retired. How did they get through it? What did they do? How did they budget? Something else that I was not smart enough to do early on, but I appreciate it now, is finding a family member who's really good at budgeting and saving. And for me, that person would be my mom. Actually, my mom and my mother-in-law are fantabulous with their budgeting and their understanding of money and how it works and how to save and things like that. So now that I'm older, I'm kind of tuning into them and asking questions and kind of tapping into them as resources. So I guess my short answer would be, find people that are going to help you figure this out. financially. Find people that are going to explain to you, you know, how they made it through or mistakes that they have made. That's always a good question. You know, what are the 3 biggest financial mistakes you've made as a teacher, and maybe learning from them. But yeah, when I saw this question, it was just kind of difficult because I'm thinking all of the things.
And,
all
and
of it.
You made really good points, and I agree with all of them, like getting some help. But I also want to throw in some advice for new teachers, existing teachers, really just anybody. Take advantage of a couple things. One, take advantage of free resources. So, for example, if you know people who are giving away supplies that they no longer need and you need them, go ahead and grab them. And I look at you because she may throw some my way for next year. And speaking of which, look in your community for some free resources. I know I did a video earlier this year about Scarce, which is in Glen Ellen, Illinois, and they have resources that are available and free to teachers.
Definitely want to visit.
So we have to go visit there. Also, take advantage of things that you can make. I know it seems like, oh, I want my room to look perfect and I want my room to have this specific theme, but if it's gonna hit you financially, it could wait a year or two. So if you can make it and save a little bit more money, do that instead of hitting your budget hard and then the rest of the year you're struggling for tissue.
While you're mentioning that, I'm thinking of things like Donors Choose, GoFundMe.
That was my next tip.
Yeah.
Use resources like that to ask for things that you might need in your classroom, and wait for the sales.
Yeah.
Like, I know the back to school sales are coming up soon, and Target always has that dollar spot when school is coming that you say, oh, it's the dollar spot. It's going to be like $1 or $2, and then like $175 later, you walk out of Target
from the dollar spot.
But in the long run, it's a lot less than you would have paid if you bought it at full retail price. And
question, I'm going to add a question to this. I'm a middle school educator, and then she's an elementary school educator. I'm going to ask this question to you guys, but also to you. Do you think that as an elementary school educator, you spend more than a middle school educator? As a middle school educator, do you think I spend more than maybe a high school educator? And I'm thinking more of decorating your room, the little gifts that we buy. It seems like the older the students get, so I'm a middle school educator, there's not a lot of bells and whistles to my room like there would be like kindergarten rooms. I'm amazed at kindergarten teachers. Like, kudos to you guys. I don't know how you do it because there's decorations and things everywhere, and you teach second grade. So
second grade,
yeah,
absolutely.
So do you think you spend more money?
Yeah, actually I do. And you're absolutely right. The younger your students are, the more visually appealing your classroom needs to be to keep them engaged. And when you get older, the students are more on their cell phones, on their devices. They don't really care about the pretty color scheme, or, I mean, if they do, they don't really show it as much as a 6-year-old walking in the room saying, oh, wow, look at this place, you know? So we definitely in elementary spend a lot of money on class decor, which kind of takes me back again. Take advantage of free resources. Teachers pay teachers. There's tons of decorations that are free, or if they're not free, they're extremely affordable. I'm not going to say cheap because they're nice things, but affordable, that you can use in your classroom instead of having to purchase it full price. And along those lines, I teach bilingual / ESL as well. So bilingual resources are a lot more expensive than English resources. And if I went on Teachers Pay Teachers to buy a resource in Spanish, it would cost, whereas the English counterpart resource would be free. Because the bilingual teachers have to put more effort into making it accessible for those students, whereas you can find several different versions of it in English for free. So that's also something you have to consider when you're purchasing resources, like what is the demographic of your classroom.
Never thought about that.
Yeah.
But that's what this is all about. Like, we're so much alike, but then we're so different. So it's nice to and it's nice to see all of you guys do this tag as well, just so we get an idea of the cost of living in other places, and it's just interesting to see the practices and the norms versus our norm. So
yeah, and so thank you to Miss Smarty Style for starting this tag, and
I promise, this is to LaTanya. I promise, now that my channel is up and running, and Elisa is she's definitely got my back on doing these videos. I am a little camera shy, believe it or not. But the Old Navy, the Old Navy challenge is coming, and I'm actually trying to pull her into it so we can do some Old Navy collaborations with you.
I wait for the sales. I only go when they have the flip-flop sale for $1.
No, early on in our relationship, I'll say, LaTanya and I, we talk about Old Navy and like how absolutely adorable she is and all of their clothes, and how they should sponsor her and send her a big box of stuff every year. Shameless plug for her. But I would like to be able to do that as well, especially as a plus size woman. So I thought it would be fun if you and I were able to go shopping and tackle an outfit, a teacher outfit.
I think we can make that happen. I think we can make that happen. And that is the end of the tag. That is the cost of teaching in the Chicagoland, Illinois area. Couple shout outs to some friends we know who also did this tag. Ruth, Diary of a Mad Black Teacher, Real Rap with the Reynolds. He did it as well. Who did you see that did this tag?
I'm horrible with names. You know that.
There's so many. Did Senior as the Spanish bot do it?
I don't know.
Possibly. We'll have to look. But we're just glad to be in this tag. And keep an eye out for our collaborative series.
And if you have not watched the video yet, you have to check that out. It's on both of our channels. And yeah, I'm not going to tell you all about the video. There's something special going on with the video, but you need to watch it.
But we do need your help, and there is a giveaway. That's all I can say. But we need your help, so please check that out and hook us up.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. I think